Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
We're putting up new buildings, we're knocking down the old. We're working in the summer heat and in the winter cold. And the labour power we sell, me boys, for a hard-earned weekly pay produces mighty profits for the greedy MBA. And whether we were born here or born in Italy, in Greece, in Spain or Ireland, in England or Fiji, we all of us are workers, united we must stand, until the wealthy bludgers have been driven from our land. We faced deregistration, it backfired in the face. We're not fooled by arbitration, we won't stay in our place. We hit the bosses hard and fast to win and keep our gains, and break a couple of concrete pours to back our log of claims. So keep your powder dry and hold your head up high. It's class to class and face to face, our limit is the sky. We've got a fighting history and we never will be cowed. Our builders' labour is a name to make a man feel proud.
And it's good morning from the Concrete Gang. As bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as you can be after an Easter shutdown and a week that, shall we say, was...
Award-winning. You keep forgetting award-winning.
Oh, okay. The award-winning Concrete Gang who have just recovered from an award-winning Easter shutdown weekend. Good morning, String Bean.
Good morning, Warren.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Grumpy Gorilla.
Good morning, listeners, and I hope you had a good Easter. And I'd like to send a special cheerio to the buzzer who's behind a rubbish truck that's caught fire.
He's probably cooking his hot cross buns.
I mean, he's the king of excuses, isn't he?
He's had more Easter eggs and hot cross buns than you could shake a stick at.
The question was, why didn't he overtake the garbage truck before he lit it on fire?
Well, I'll tell you why, because he was on his iPad Skyping us to let us know where he is, doing 140 Ks. But anyway, that's another story.
Right. Yeah, well, yes. Well, we won't mention his driving propensities any further. Moving right along, it was a great Easter shutdown. People enjoyed it. I'm sure the weather wasn't as good as it could have been, but I think everyone was looking forward to Easter. It's come early, but that means that the Anzac Day shutdown weekend is not that far away. Isn't that good?
You beauty.
And another first for the Concrete Gang too, I hear.
Oh, well, yes, there's another first for the Concrete Gang because our national correspondent, Gorilla, at Canberra Airport, what did you do? You met a celebrity.
We did. I was up there with Buzz. I would have got to know a lot better, but when he found out it was Lauren Jackson I was talking to, he ran over and nearly knocked me over trying to shake hand. But yeah, and
get a selfie.
We saw young Lauren, and she had a couple of X-rays in her hand, and she told us that she's going to have a knee replacement. So, and yesterday on the news she's retired. But all jokes aside, what a great sportswoman and a champion of the sport. I'm not a great basketball fan, but I used to enjoy watching her play. And she's the most decorated women's sportsman, I'd say, at a guess. And has carried herself well to be a great Australian. And congratulations on your career, Lauren. And, it's a shame to go that way, but anyway, all I can say is, have a happy retirement, but she's been very well respected in the sport, would you say, Warren?
Indeed, and after meeting Buzzer in the terminal at Canberra Airport...
That's why she retired.
She was forced to retire.
Was Buzzer on your shoulders, Gorilla, or how did that work out, that conversation?
I'll tell you what, she's very tall, but a good, she's one of our type of people, I think, a bit of a larrikin, a bit of a knockabout, and... after Buzzer nearly knocked her over, but anyway, that's another story.
Yes, she's a bit weak at the knees. Yes, indeed. Righto, now, we should now go on to mention our good friends Grocon. Because people ask us what's happening in the wonderful world of Grocon, and we can honestly say nothing good.
Well, they've been in the news a bit the last week, haven't they? A few stories popping up.
Daniel is not getting himself on Twitter. It's actually the mass media actually taking a bit of interest in him.
Well, Daniel's having a little freak out on Twitter, obviously, having to respond to all this. But yeah, so two stories this week. The family of two young people who were killed in the Swanson Street wall collapse are taking Grocon to court, looking for compensation, looking for justice, and fair enough too. But the news from Thursday seems to be that Grocon is considering denying them that compensation and fighting them over it, which so if they're not in pain enough, they're going to be forced to fight for fair compensation, and it's a disgrace.
Yes, our good friend Daniel, generous to a fault. Who paid for the funeral, Daniel? It wasn't you. It was the union. And now you're going to deny the family whatever compensation they are entitled to. Methinks maybe all that money you saved on not paying tax could have gone to a better purpose.
Yes, 0% tax, and although they donate large sums to the Liberal Party, they don't have money to pay tax, and they don't have money to compensate the families of people they kill in their unsafe jobs. And the other part of the news, speaking of unsafe Grocon jobs,
yes, indeed,
is that we've had another building found by the Victorian Building Authority to have highly flammable cladding in there, and it's an iconic Melbourne building.
Oh, it wouldn't be Eureka Tower, would it?
The most iconic, perhaps, building. Yes, indeed.
And let me guess, these fire problems go all the way from the bottom to the top.
well,
that's a long way.
They go through all Grocon jobs, that's for sure.
How's my unit looking on the 60th floor?
Well, Danny, baby,
have a barbecue.
I hope the poor people that are going to go to the Victorian Comprehensive Cancer Centre aren't going to be faced with the same problem, because they've got enough problems to start with.
Indeed, or our sports people at Amy Park and fans.
Oh, what? Amy Park?
Amy Park as well, flammable cladding. It's just, Grocon. What can you say? Although you've got to say, it is, Grocon, no surprise. It's on 50% of buildings, perhaps, they're saying. It's not, obviously, there's a whole bunch of builders that are cutting corners, getting cheap imported materials, and not meeting Australian standards. And the federal government's the one that can do something about it. They just need to make sure that something's done. But the big thing is they took it out of our EBAs, so we can't enforce local procurement. And this is what happens.
And when they all thought that the free trade agreement with China was going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to them, already the Chinese economy's fallen on its face. This was a boom that was going to last to 2030. What happened to the next 15 years? I think there's a bit of miscalculation. Or more correctly, a bit of bullshit from all the economists and the politicians and everyone else. And what have we managed to produce in the time we've had all this wonderful free trade with China? Whole lot of second-rate materials which are now a danger to people living in Melbourne.
Exactly.
Gee whiz. I'd like to thank the federal governments of all colours on behalf of the people of Melbourne for their efforts.
And, it'll filter through to us more and more, but I think the Sparkies are feeling at first that we're already seeing the cheap labour flooding in, unskilled and without the proper qualifications. So, it's the impact that we warned about, it's coming.
And they can't read the instructions that go with the equipment that they're installing because it's in English. Anyway, never mind. There'll be more of this story to be told. But we should mention another international company of high repute, a company that is absolutely dominated the construction industry in Australia since, I think, about the mid-50s. We're talking about Leighton's, of course, now called CIMIC and owned by the Spaniards. And CIMIC have been exposed yet again by our old mate Nick McKenzie, who don't like us, but now he's decided he doesn't like Leighton's even more, because Leighton's have been exposed to be absolutely up to their eyeballs in corruption and nefarious activities.
Indeed, and it seems like Nick McKenzie, for a change, has actually done some research, and quite an impressive story this time around. So the story goes that through Una Oil, who have been found to be a really seriously dodgy mob, that a whole bunch of big companies are using, but Leighton's one of the most significant companies in the world. Some of the biggest bribes are coming from them. Through Una Oil to Iraqi officials, corrupt Iraqi officials, and they've got money laundering hub in the UAE, transferring $5.6 million bribes, an $800,000 fee to Una Oil just to facilitate the bribes. Hundreds of emails leaked showing all these dodgy dealings throughout the Middle East and so on. So when we asked Turnbull what's he doing about bribery, he says he's bringing in the ABCC to deal with corruption, even though they have no ability to deal with corruption whatsoever, and leaves companies like Leighton to bribe Iraqi officials and run amok around the world and disgrace Australia generally with no action whatsoever.
And more fundamentally, breach the National Building Code. Now, we get accused as a union movement of doing all these bad things, and all we're doing is taking industrial action on jobs to protect our members' interests. But these people are dealing with multi-million-dollar corruption and, I would have thought, in breach of the code. Yet, who gets the government contracts which are supposed to be covered by this code? Leighton's and Lend-Lease, another company who pleaded guilty in America for corruption and paid a massive fine. But these people are still allowed to quote government jobs all over the place, and no one talks about the code. Amazing.
Where's Nigel? Surely Nigel would be on this. He loves his code, doesn't he? He'll be all over it.
Oh, Nige is just out there doing what he does best, attack unions, and that's all you're good at, Nige.
And his staff.
He's not real good at it, though, really, to be honest. I mean, we've had how many court cases dropped and unsuccessful now?
Coming out of the Royal Commission.
That's right.
5 officials of the CFMEU charged, 5 either no case to answer or not guilty. The latest one is Justin Steele in the Queensland branch. Well done, Just. Went on to a job about a health and safety issue, took some pictures, got, shall we say, grabbed by the builder, who then claimed that she had been assaulted by Justin. No case to answer. So anyway, we might cut to a track. And this is what I'd like to give our good friends Nigel, Leighton's, Lend-Lease, Grocon, all the rest of it, the key to the highway.
Gangs here to stay. You don't fight, you lose. Stand and struggle, stand and win.
Big Bill Brunsey, key to the highway. As I said, I'd like to give a few people the key to the highway, and maybe the gorilla will finally get a word in edgeways here and talk about someone else we'd like to give a key to the highway to.
Yes, well, Warren, as you know, one of our favourites, we haven't spoke about a while, but Qatar World Cup, the human rights abuses over there, it's still going on, bubbling along as usual. I mean, I've got a little bit of a report here I'll read out from the Amnesty International, but we have spoken about this for a fair time, Warren, about what's going on over in Qatar and how many people are being killed and how many more are going to be killed
on construction sites.
On construction sites, and no one seems to give a rat's ass. But I'll just read a little bit out of this report. It just took 2 months for Kamal to realise that working as a scaffolder in Khalifa Stadium, a host site for the 2022 FIFA World Cup of men's soccer, beneath Qatar's broiling sun was not exactly the job he hoped for. Kamal, 21, told his employer that he and a friend, Cheaton, were ready to quit and return home to Nepal. The work is hard, the camp is filthy and small, I haven't received any pay yet, Kamal told Amnesty International searchers last May. I told him we are ready to leave, just need to get our plane ticket. We don't care about our pay, just want to go home. Their boss rejected the request, so Kamal approached the manager during his lunch break the next day with the same request. Kamal, rejected by the manager, was instructed to visit the management office if he wished to continue his push to quit, but there too he was offered a similar response, this time with a threat attached. So that's just one little example, and the threats were that they haven't got their passports and all. They can't go when they like.
The boss has got the passport.
Yeah, they've got all that. They don't even get paid. They live in squalor. The water's contaminated. The heat. Imagine doing scaffolding in the sun over there, young Warren and all that. So it just goes on and on. There's a few stats here if I can see them. It's got a last report. They're predicting another 4,000 labourers could die. All this sort of stuff, and it still goes on. No one's doing nothing about it. The workforce could expand tenfold in the next 2 years to as many as 36,000 labourers. So they've got no representatives, they've got no people to look after them over there, and it just goes on, and more people are dying. And what have we done about it?
Well, we've tried to raise the issue. We've raised it in international forums. We've raised it in national forums. But somehow or another, it just doesn't seem to gel with the people at the top of the trade union movement in this country and internationally. I remember Sharon Burrows went over to Qatar, but what the hell's happened?
Nothing.
Not much. I'm sorry. As usual, the ACTU, the International Free Trade Union movement and so on, as always, leave a lot to be desired. It is hardly surprising that people are somewhat less than enthusiastic about trade unions in these days because we're not leading from the front. And when it comes to construction workers anywhere in the world, they are doing the same work as us and under the same sorts of climatic conditions as we do, but we do it a lot safer, we do it a lot better paid. Then why shouldn't we say that should apply to other people working like us? Anyway, Qatar is going to become another issue for the concrete gang, and while it's not a local matter, solidarity with international construction workers is a matter for everyone. Now, talking about discouragement of people when it comes to the trade union movement, String Bean, the AWU have led from the front.
This story's... I don't really understand what's going on here at all. You'll have to explain it to me, Warren. So I'm reading the news this morning, and I'm reading this Australian Financial Review report, and it says usual sort of headline: Union faces court for threats. They're threats to non-strikers. So I'm thinking, just another CFMEU story. Here we go. What's going on? But the union they mention here is the AWU. So this doesn't sound right. So can you explain to me how on earth the AWU is being taken to court for apparently coercing people to strike?
Nah, I couldn't explain that.
Is it really?
They should have been taken to court for not having anyone to strike.
Because, we had a Royal Commission where the CFMEU were too militant and the AWU were too close to bosses. And now suddenly the AWU is too militant?
But did we need a Royal Commission to know that?
Mr. Hayden, you took money on the false pretences.
You could have just listened to us.
How much was it again? 40 being this one, wasn't it?
What, no, 60.
60, is that all?
63, I think.
That's not even a good drink,
was
is
the budget.
it?
Anyway, the AWU have got themselves into some trouble, I think, down at Longford, is it?
That's right.
Where they had a meeting to make some demands, and they got their members outside the job in the car park, and then basically we ended up having some kind of situation where people refused to work overtime.
Oh, sorry, I'm just reading the article again. It says Deer Park, Orica Australia manufacturing plant.
Oh, it's another one.
Might be a different one because it's only just come out. So this is breaking news. So allegedly AWU telling the workers it was investigating charges of gross misbehaviour and that the workers felt ostracised and humiliated. I mean, if I was an AWU member, I'd probably feel a bit ostracised and humiliated too. But
Well, the 52 down at Longford are less than amused by the fact that they were led up the garden path. But never mind. Some things never change.
I wonder if this will change, Billy and his mates, the ALP and the AWU attitude towards the CFMEU. If they start facing similar kind of crap to us, maybe we'll get a bit more sympathy, do you reckon? Do you reckon there'll be a bit... because Anthony Albanese drops us like a hot sack of shit, given the chance. We've had a few people that have run off from us, so, maybe this will help our cause. You never know.
I doubt it.
No, all right, I'm dreaming.
Sorry,
fair enough.
Cynicism comes to the fore here. But in terms of cynics, maybe we should mention one of the great cynics of this world, Stephen Drill. G'day, Stevie, baby. Cheerio to you, mate. We understand that despite your best efforts...
He's got the lemon and sauce.
He's got the arse. He's no longer the IR reporter for the Herald Sun. What's gone right?
You blokes a bit harsh. I mean,
I
just think there is a job going at the 3CR. Someone needs to clean the shit houses. If he'd like to apply, I don't know whether he's smart enough to do them. But anyway, he's he could apply, couldn't he?
He could.
Yeah. Well, we'd accept the application.
I think there's a few things we'd like to say about his application.
Well, he'd have to spend his first 4 days wiping all the shit written on the walls about him, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Stephen Drill is no longer the IR reporter for the Herald Sun after all the bullshit he wrote about the CFMEU and other unions in that whole period leading up to the Royal Commission and during the Royal Commission, and he's still writing bullshit about us. None of it researched, none of it accurate, but why would the facts get in the way of a good story? Righto, now...
Are we sure it's true, though? Like, where did the report come? It hasn't come from Drill himself, has it?
No. I have seen an email.
I thought this might be like
by the new IR reporter
right.
saying that he had replaced Stephen. Anyway, moving right along,
well, welcome
scallywags. Well, first up, the Richmond Football Club. Sorry, the old Tigers didn't front up for the... Royal Children's Hospital Good Friday appeal function. Didn't seem to want to be associated with the CFMEU. Well, guess what? We don't want to be associated with the Richmond Football Club, so you're getting named as a scallywag. Who else have we got? Oh, Leighton Simic for international corruption.
Jeez, could you be much worse? Well, actually, you could. Yeah. How about Grocon?
Yeah, Grocon. And we've got Valio for working on Easter Tuesday.
Indeed.
Which was a part of the shutdown weekend.
Port Melbourne job.
And
apparently that job's been going for 3 years, though, so why they're trying to catch up now? They're only about 2 floors up in 3 years.
Yes. Well,
suddenly they're in a hurry. They've got to work the RDO.
Oh, yes, that's there. Never mind all the people who put their superannuation money into that particular job are less than happy, I tell you.
Gee.
So I've got Grocon. We got anyone else? Well, we've got to have someone.
Like Qatar.
Oh, yeah.
You've mentioned Qatar.
FIFA.
You've mentioned them.
Understand
to all the punters out there, you've got to understand we've had a short week, so next week we're going to concentrate on job news only. No politics, nothing, just job news. But we've had a short week, so we're struggling with job news, obviously. We could make some up.
Yeah, well, why not?
We've done that.
To all those members of the CFMEU, the ETU and the plumbers at the VCCC in Grattan Street, congratulations on your little action yesterday. Last Thursday. Well done, boys. Grocon deserve it.
And just a late nomination for the plumbers. We haven't mentioned the plumbers got in the news recently for overstating their membership figures to the ALP.
But telling the truth when it came to the Fair Work Commission.
That's right. Surely that deserves a nomination. Apparently only half the number of members that they've been trying to use for their ALP political purposes.
G'day, Earl. Righto, who are we going for Scallywag of the Week? Come on, there's a few here. Richmond Football Club, I just think that was a bit petty.
Yeah.
AWU.
Leighton's and Simic.
AWU, mate. Fancy.
Listen, I'm impressed, but
Yes.
Leighton and Civic.
That's more
I mean,
impressive.
that's big money. Valley Oval, that's small change shit. But
Grocon. I think Grocon.
putting everyone in the Eureka Tower at risk.
And
Because if it went up like...
Did you see the one in, not Qatar, there was another one went up, Dubai, two winner.
Jeez, it's lit up like a candle.
You could start a fire at the bottom of Eureka Tower, and it could go all the way to the bloody sky bridge thing up the top where you look out over the river on the glass floor.
All right.
That'd probably be the safest spot.
Well, what are we going for?
I like
Grocon.
I like
yeah.
Grocon.
Right, great
2 stories.
2 stories, an absolute disgrace, Daniel.
Just pay up, mate.
Yeah, just pay out the family, stop mucking around, and cop your right whack.
And we'll go out in the same old way.
Dare to struggle,
Dare to win. You don't fight,
you lose.
Good morning from the Concrete Gang. See you soon.
Up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every mouth can be fed.
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast produced in the studios of independent community radio station 3CR in Melbourne, Australia. For more information, go to allthews.3cr.org.au.